Hello everyone, it's RASA von Werder, RASA, R-A-S-A, von, V-O-N, Werder, W-E-R-D-E-R, from the University of Mother God Church, also known as Kellie Everts, the lady who strips for God and dances to save men's souls. My websites of my biography and my work will be with the descriptions of this video. Please check them out. I'm talking about a few people I knew in my early days from the age of when I met them. I was like 22, and then when I met James Brown, I was 19. Then I met this Boogie Oogie, fake yogi, when I was about 22, and then I met Reverend Verna Talbot around 23, and the things I went through with them. Both the Boogie Oogie and Verna Talbot were eccentrics, but the Boogie Oogie was an evil eccentric and Verna Talbot was a mixed bag. This guy wasn't 100% evil, but he was about 90%, 75% to 90% evil. Verna was about, I don't know what she was. Mixed bag, like I said, is the best way to put it. But in order to get to Verna, which was a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block, I have to talk about the stumbling block, which was this guy. And James Brown was a stumbling block too, and this guy was a stumbling block. To explain how different he was, there was a TV show he said, looking for him to interview him, but when they reached him, it was already too late and they had already started doing the show. Or was it me that heard about it? I don't remember. It was one of us heard about a TV show. And I saw the TV show a few months later. It came out, and the name of the show was The Weird World of Weird. I think they wanted to call it The Weird World of Weirdos. But they figured they might get sued, so they changed it to The Weird World of Weird. And he was going to be part of it with all his bullshit. He had all these claims of having mind over matter powers. Oh, he could, yes, I remember now. He could dematerialize. And go to another world or something, I don't know. All I remember is De-Materialize, and they had these in Los Angeles. They had these really cheap. It was like way back in the day in the 60s. They had these cheap theaters in 42nd Street where you could see movies all day and night, super cheap, like for $1 or something. So in Los Angeles, they had these theaters where you could see movies real cheap for, I don't remember, it was like 50 cents or something. It was some ungodly, maybe it was $1.50, ungodly cheap. He would make me take him, and they had these most schlocky horror movies. And he wanted to see these horror movies for hours and hours and hours again. And the reason he told me that he wanted to see them is because he knew how to dematerialize, but he couldn't remember the trick. And if he looked at enough of these movies, it might quirk his brain to get back into how to dematerialize. I wish he had dematerialized. Okay, on another note, he pretended to be a vegetarian. One day, he begged and begged and begged me for money. I had not a lot of money, but I had $60. And that was a lot of money then in like 1960, I don't know, 65, 66, no, maybe 67, mid to later 60s, whatever. I didn't compute it yet, so let me just pass that by. He begged and begged, and he didn't beg like a beggar, like a humble beggar, but he pressured me to give him that $60. And I go, what do you need it for? He goes, to feel secure, to feel secure, to feel secure. And after half an hour of pressuring me, I finally forked it over, and then he left. And then I thought, I'm crazy. Why did I give him that money? That was all the money I had left to support myself for the whole month for food and everything. And so I went to the office where he had, he had offices for me and him at the Sunset Vine Tower. And right at the corner of the Sunset Vine Tower was a Denny's. And Denny's at that time, or something like Denny's, maybe it wasn't Denny's, maybe it was something else. It was like Denny's. It was like a steakhouse, though. It was a steakhouse. I don't know if in those days it was a steakhouse. I don't remember. But it was a steakhouse. A cheap steakhouse, where they give you cheap wine if you order wine or some. I'm not sure about that. All I know is it was a steakhouse. It was right catty corner from the Sunset Vine Tower. And so I went to get my money back. I was going to tell him, you're full of shit. Give me my money back. So I walked and I went past that steakhouse. It was all glass windows like Denny's. And I looked inside, and there he is sitting there. What was the first thing he did with the money I gave him? So I went in there, and there he was eating a steak. And this is the guy that persuaded me to become a vegetarian, and later I became a vegan fruitarian. So you see what I mean? I got my money back. I said, and I did it in front of, with the people there. I did it in the restaurant. I said, look, I want my money back, because I need that money to live off for the rest of the month. And he forked it over. He forked it over. I got it back. So that's to show you what a phony he was. And I don't want to dwell upon him. I don't want to think about him terribly long. He's evil, creepy, and everything. So, but he was a full-time con artist. So one time he conned the car out of somebody for a few months. And this was a guy that went to jail. He was apparently associating with this guy and his wife, and they were putting on porno shows in the theater, and they got arrested, or she got arrested, because she was doing a BJ, a blowjob to a guy on stage, and she got arrested and had to do some time. He didn't apparently get, I don't know what happened to him, but maybe he was arrested too. And so he had a car that Prince Nutty got the car from. It was a stick shift. He taught me how to do a stick shift, because the son of a bitch didn't have a driver's license, and he borrowed my Corvette one day. I thought he had a driver's license, and I didn't even think about it. I just thought everyone has a driver's license. He went out and he wrecked my Corvette, but he did get somebody to fix it. He wrecked it, and then he conned somebody to fix it for almost for free. The guy was a full-time con artist. So we got the car out of this guy he was friendly with, who ran this porno show and porno movies. And apparently that's what he did, in some of his spare time away from me. And so I had a stick shift car for about 2 or 3 months, and I learned how to run the stick shift. And then later he got a limousine out of somebody, an old one. It wasn't new. It was an old limousine, and I drove that limo around. And wherever I went, here I am, a blonde bombshell, and young, here I am, a young blonde bombshell driving this limo, and everybody would smile at me like, who am I? Who is this blonde bombshell driving a limo all over Los Angeles? But, so another thing about him was, geez, I'm thinking of the anecdotes. Oh yeah, he wanted to do these hypnotic shows, and he conned it was the Knickerbocker, I think that was the name of it. It was the Knickerbocker Hotel, and he went to the manager, and I was there with him. He conned, believe me, he conned for no money, and to do shows. We did a few shows, and I had to help with the promotion, so I had to hand flyers out on the streets and everything like that. And he did his, I don't remember what he did, but I remember I put on a show, and it was a great show. I got people from Chinese people. I looked up agencies, and I got Chinese people One was male, a male that was dressed like a female, and he did a beautiful, beautiful dance and show. And then I got a female Chinese lady to do a beautiful, beautiful dance. She was like a geisha. She wasn't, of course, a geisha, but she was like a geisha. And between the two of them, and then I came out in a bikini, like a very special frou-frou, which I sewed and fixed up a bikini. And he played the piano. He played the boogie woogie. Yeah, he could play the boogie woogie, and he could play the song of India, bum bum bum, whatever. And I danced, and I had trophies for the winners. I had trophies for these Chinese people. No money, just trophies. And then the audience screamed, "Rasa, she has to get a trophy." And so I got a trophy that I paid for myself. That's the kind of shit he pulls. So he wanted to do another show where he would do the repair, like put the needle through his hand. We didn't get around to that while he was with me. He did it after we broke up. All right, to be continued.